Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben, and on this channel I talk about stocks, investing, and finance, and I have $25,000 invested into Palantir, so we're going to make another video on Palantir. I hope everyone is having a good day. I hope everyone's doing well. Today, I want to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to Palantir, which is who are their competitors, okay? Who are these guys competing against? What is their beef? Are they going to be able to beat the competition? They're in Denver, Colorado, and all those other software companies they're competing at are in Silicon Valley and San Francisco. Why does this Denver startup that probably smokes weed all day have a chance to beat these sophisticated Silicon Valley people? Well, the reason for this is because they are in Denver, Colorado. And that's a metaphor for they are different, okay? This company is different. They don't care about the traditional Silicon Valley way of doing things. They're a company that fundamentally thinks of the world in a different way, that has a product that is so fundamentally different, and that ultimately competes in a different way. So a couple things in this video that I want to talk about. Number one is who are their competitors, right? Really identifying from a software perspective who actually competes against Palantir. And number two, what is the advantage that Palantir has, and what is the strategy of the advantage that they're trying to culminate in order to go against these competitors in the long term. So let's answer the first question. Who are their competitors? Now, the competitors are actually not a company. And if you know this stock at all, you know that the competitors, this is what every investor that is invested in Palantir said, this is what Palantir themselves have said, is homegrown IT departments at actual companies. So people might think, oh, like Snowflake is a competitor, or like Salesforce or something is a competitor, right? Because these are companies that typically work with other big companies within their organization, and they manage a lot of their data and stuff like that. But Palantir is a little bit more of advanced of a company in which it makes sense of data. It doesn't just manage or store data, right? So when you have a company that is making sense of the data, there is a particular type of proprietary technology, artificial intelligence, et cetera, that is involved in order to make sense of that data. That is the sort of revolutionary technology and really advanced technology that Palantir has created. Now, when a company is choosing to create a relationship with another company from a B2B perspective, and B2B is different than B2C, right? B2C is like Facebook selling, B2C is more so like I have a water bottle company and I sell the water bottle to people. B2B is like I have a software company and I have to sell the software to organizations in order for them to use my software, and those are the big contracts that you get. Those require relationship building, they require a lot of sales, they require a lot of marketing, but they also require a lot of value propositions that like a company like Palantir would have to show to these other companies. The product can be amazing and can market itself, but because it's a company buying it, the people in the company have to feel that if they make that investment, it will actually either save them time or money, because companies really don't have the patience or the ability to go through an entire integration process with software, given just how hard the learning loop is. For that reason, companies choose to develop homegrown solutions. So marketing, right? Let's take marketing as an example. VaynerMedia, for those who may know Gary Vaynerchuk, very popular guy on social media, definitely a guy I like listening to, very inspirational, motivational dude. VaynerMedia is an advertising agency. So if you don't know him at all, it's just a marketing agency, right? It's in New York City, and they work with the biggest brands in the world to create their social and digital strategy. Now, you think about a brand like Pepsi. I think that's one of their biggest clients. Why would Pepsi, which has all the resources in the world, right? They're selling a product that's never going to go out of business because most people are always going to keep drinking Pepsi. Why are they partnering with some marketing agency, right? Like, what's the logic there? If you logically think about it, Pepsi can hire some of the best marketing people in the world, put them inside the company, pay them really well, and be like, hey, create our digital marketing strategy for us. Why are they working with VaynerMedia, which is an external marketing agency that is able to then get them brand recognition and all that stuff? It is because there's a certain level of expertise that is outsourced, right? There's a certain level of trust and expertise that is put into someone who is dedicated to doing this, which makes it better than having a homegrown team, at least in the context of marketing. Another example is something like Spotify and YouTube Music, right? I personally use YouTube Music because I pay for YouTube Premium. Why do I pay for YouTube Premium? Because I like videos playing in the background without having them shut off. Do I like getting rid of ads? Yes, but the background play is more so the reason why I really like YouTube, because I like listening to things without having to have the screen on. Now, I used to pay for Spotify, and it was like $10 a month, right? And I would get all the music in the world. And I was like, all right, this is cool, but I'm paying $12 a month for YouTube, and for $2 extra, I can get all my videos playing in the background. I don't get ads, and I get YouTube Music. So why would I pay $22 when $12 gives me all of Spotify plus all this other premium stuff? And then I started asking my friends, like, yo, why do you have Spotify? You can get YouTube Premium, because like everyone uses YouTube, and it's only $2 extra a month, right? It's no big deal. And everyone I said this to pushed back. Literally everyone. They were like, I can't convert to Spotify. I'm like, why? The Justin Bieber song on Spotify is the same Justin Bieber song on YouTube Music. Like, I'm like, why? And they were like, you don't understand, bro. Like, Spotify is my life. And I'm like, it's just music. Like, I understand the deep emotional connection people have with music, but this is about saving money. They're like, yeah, it's not worth it. And I started recognizing why it's not worth it. And the reason it was not worth it, the common reasons I got, sorry, I've been a little sick this weekend, so I have a little bit of mucus in my throat. Sorry for that, guys. The main reason I got was that Spotify ultimately has all their data, right? So when the Spotify Wrapped comes out in 2019, 2020, and people get to post on their Instagram their top 5 songs that they were listening to, people really care about that. There is a level of social, uniqueness into that. It's like having a blue check on Twitter or Instagram, right? That social signaling is really important. Number 2 is the playlists that have been created for years, and this is why I think Spotify has created such a unique go-to-market strategy. Where in college or high school, they charge you $5 a month as like a student discount. And I took that offer up. So for 4 years, all my music was shared in Spotify. So if I want to go back to freshman year, 2016 in college, I just go to my Spotify playlist and it gives me all those memories. And those memories are priceless at the end of the day, right? You can't put a price on that. And if I have to pay $10 a month to have access to that level of data about my life, that is experienced through the transcendental element of music, then I'm probably going to pay that money. Now, to me, I just didn't care that much because ultimately I want to save more money, and I thought YouTube Music would be better. But I can understand how other people feel that way, right? Their data is in one place, their musical library is in one place, the algorithm on that app platform knows what music to recommend them. It's how they discover new songs. It's something that is convenience that they continually want to use. So it's hard to make the switch, even if the money logically is worth it. Logic doesn't matter in a lot of these situations. That's what I think about Pepsi and VaynerMedia. They use VaynerMedia because that company is purely based on marketing. That you can hire marketing people, but that company lives and breathes social marketing. So we're going to trust them to get us the results. The reason I think this relates back to Palantir ultimately at the end of the day is if a company wants to start an ingrown IT department that is ultimately able to make the decisions that they need to make to understand their data, right? Which at the basic form is what Palantir is doing for a company. The reason companies are choosing to outsource it, or the reason why Palantir would win against homegrown IT companies, is because homegrown IT companies can't do it as well as Palantir, right? At the end of the day, that's the argument. So you can have a company, or you can have a IT department within your company that is built to understand data and even make probably some algorithms that are able to help you understand the data and optimize stuff. But if you can implement Foundry into your company, and then it's throughout the entire organization, and everyone from sales to finance to marketing to accounting to customer acquisition to retention to recruiting can all use that, then you've got something fundamentally different. And there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, an IT department usually can't replicate that, right? And a small IT department can't create a software for the entire organization to use, especially when you're talking about, 5,000, 6,000 employees at minimum. It's going to be a lot harder for those companies to ultimately implement those types of systems, or for those IT people, no matter how smart they are, to build something that's that capable of doing that, right? That's why you would use Palantir, which is, again, beating the ingrown competitors. Number two, the ease of integration. Palantir has worked with companies for the past 20 years. So when you talk about a new company or a new startup integrating with Palantir, it's very simple because Palantir knows what to do. So for example, if you want to leverage data in a specific sector, let's call it the oil and gas sector. Palantir has worked with oil and gas companies. Now, if you need to have a specific form of the Foundry software doing something for your oil and gas sector, but Palantir has worked with oil and gas companies before, and they already know some of the struggles those companies have gone with, or some of the optimization mechanisms that those companies have needed to internalize, then Palantir can get you like 80, 95% of the way of where you want to go, right? Maybe it's not going to give you everything all at once, but the integration process, because of the prior experience that Palantir has working with other companies, is going to be so much easier, right? So like if I'm trying to market my company and I choose to work with a marketing agency, then marketing agency is not going to give me all of the data that I need to be able to understand how to best build my brand in the beginning. But because they've worked with other soda manufacturers before, or soft drink manufacturers, or food and beverage companies, they can help me better understand, Pepsi in this example, how to market my product, because they've done it before. They have the experience, right? Same thing with Palantir, but in this case, it's not just experience, it's hard data. Right. And if you're a company in the similar field and they know what it takes to actually get those results, then that's a pretty reasonable outcome. The third thing, and finally the most important thing about this, is that Palantir's product is something that benefits off network effects. And I talked about this in a future video. I talked about this in my Meet Kevin video that I did, which is that when you have a network effect, you have a user that is added to the network that creates more value for the entirety of the network. Palantir has something like this for data. The more data they add to the algorithms around Foundry, Gotham, and Apollo, the more better the algorithms get, and the more better the actual platforms get. So the more data they keep getting from companies, the better the system gets. It's kind of like Tesla, right? The more cars that drive, the more the Tesla cameras can record, which means the more data they give to the AI ML algorithms within the Tesla headquarters, sort of centralized within the Tesla servers, which means the better the autonomous driving gets. Because if it sees a stop sign 20,000 times, then it knows exactly what a stop sign looks like, because all these stop signs are universal, which means it's very unlikely that the Tesla car is going to outrun the stop sign. Same thing for Palantir. So when they have all of this data around their software, it's always going to be 10,000 million times better than a homegrown solution, because that homegrown solution, that new electric car manufacturer, doesn't have the amount of data that Tesla has, because Tesla's had cars driving for tens of years on the roads. Same thing with Palantir. It's had companies contributing data to the Foundry algorithmic software for years, and it's optimized that data for years, which means your homegrown IT solution is just not going to be able to compete with something like a Palantir. Final thing I want to say on this is software updates. So when Palantir makes a software update across all of its platforms, those software updates kind of over the air go to all of its clients. This is the same thing that Tesla does when they do a software update. All the cars get the software update. Again, when you're competing with homegrown solutions, they don't have a software update because they don't have any things to really update, or there's not software that's going to be able to update massively, and it's not going to benefit from a software update because when Palantir is updating its software, it's updating it based on like another month's worth of crucial data that is integrated to make the platform better and new features that the company may be adding to the core software. A homegrown IT department isn't necessarily going to do that, right? So at the end of the day, homegrown IT departments, they kind of suck. They're not going to be as integral to the entire organization. They're not going to be able to develop a relationship with every single department that is able to integrate the software in a meaningful capacity. And finally, companies like using external sources that know exactly what they're doing because it saves them time, money, and effort. And when they integrate those sources and those sources are able to give them majority of what they need very early on and integrate with their entire organization and ship them updates constantly, then that makes for a software that's likely going to beat out any homegrown solution to be their biggest competitor at the end of the day. So that's pretty much it. That's why I think Palantir really doesn't have that many competitors, and the competitors that it does have in these homegrown IT solutions, they're probably just not going to be that big. So those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching the Daily Business Show. My name is Mitt, and as always, I will see you next week.